This month on Connections. Our ride around town on the CTA begins in Chicago's Hyde Park neighborhood and a world-class museum that's making science cool. The Museum of Science and Industry is our first stop. Next, as we make our way west toward the Green Line, we'll take a step back in time with a story every transit fan will love, a look at the evolution of the CTA's buses. We'll board the south branch of the Green Line at Garfield Station, heading north for a ride aboard one of the summer's big attractions, the Loop Tour Train. The Blue Line takes us to Chicago's northwest side and a neighborhood that provides the perfect respite for a summer afternoon. Our destination, Jefferson Park. As we make our way back downtown for the kickoff of the Chicago Outdoor Film Festival, we'll show you ways to get to the lakefront this summer and introduce you to the Shoreline's newest attraction, Northerly Island. It's summer in Chicagoland. Time to get up and get out on the CTA.
Hi, I'm Dale Rivera. Welcome to Connections, where you can learn all about using the CTA in and around Chicago. Whoever thought science could be so hip? Well, two of the hottest tickets around this summer are to two science exhibits running until early September here at the Museum of Science and Industry, our first stop.
For more than 75 years, people have been visiting the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago's Hyde Park for interactive lessons in all things life and science.
We have World War II airplanes. We have the German submarine. We have a 3,000 square foot model railroad, a working coal mine that you can ride and walk through and discover. And we do a lot with live presentation on the floor.
The museum's inaugural opening was in 1933 for the World's Fair, a century of progress. An authentic, functioning coal mine was the museum's very first exhibit, and it's still visited today. Along with the Great Train Story, the Colleen Moore Ferry Castle, a farm with a real tractor, and those adorable baby chicks, the only permanent genetics exhibit in the country.
We have some really special opportunities here that I think set us apart.
One of those special opportunities on display now is Body Worlds, a unique exhibit about human anatomy and physiology that actually takes visitors inside the human body.
These are displays of real human bodies that have been preserved through a technique called plastination. People that donated their bodies for the purpose of plastination and for the purpose of being exhibited in a public venue like a museum for educational purposes.
Body Worlds is a unique way for visitors to see inside the human body and better understand health and disease.
I think this is a wonderful opportunity to see how the body works. The body is one of the most perfect machines, and we have an opportunity to see it by segments.
We have a long history here of presenting real, educational, compelling, and authentic experiences for visitors. And Body Worlds, being an exhibit of real human anatomy, is something that touches people, I think, on a universal level. You know, we're all the same underneath the skin, but there are individual differences.
Visitors to MSI can also find plenty of fun and games, like this exclusive exhibit where kids of all ages can get their game on. This exhibition, now making its U.S. premiere, shows the 40-year history of video games, their impact on our culture, and what the future holds for the $10 billion industry. Game On also offers more than 100 playable video games from past to present.
It's a really fun exhibit because adults and kids both enjoy it, because a lot of the adults are getting a nostalgia trip back to some of the video games that they grew up with in arcades, and of course the kids are getting to play some of the hottest titles that are out right now.
Whether you're a hardcore gamer or an interested novice, feel free to command that joystick and challenge yourself to a round of Miss Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Galaga, and many more.
It's a great hands-on way to see, because you can play the earliest games and see what you were limited to, and then go to the most advanced ones and see how much further we can go now.
Visitors will be fascinated to see how far the industry has come, from a guy designing Pong in his basement to teams of hundreds programming cutting-edge games like Outrun 2. History buffs will be pleased to learn that the famed U-505 submarine is making a return to the MSI this summer in a new 40,000 square foot exhibit with never-before-seen artifacts, special effects, and a new onboard tour. The museum also houses a 727 airplane, a detail not lost on the museum's younger visitors.
Some students have never been on the airplane, so what better way to show them than to bring them to a real airplane and they get to see an actual airplane.
Teachers from across Chicagoland bring students to the museum for field trips that augment classroom lessons with unrivaled hands-on experience.
We just left the farm tractor. They have the tractor, how the tractor goes through the crops, how the different seeds are harvested. And these are things that they need to see because they read about them, but to actually see them really connects to what they're learning.
The Museum of Science and Industry has been voted one of the greatest museums in the world, and the CTA can take you there. Here's how. Here's a tip from the Museum of Science and Industry. If you plan to check out Body Worlds and Game On, buy tickets online at www.msichicago.org. Both exhibitions will be on display through September 5th. These blockbusters have been selling out fast, so get your tickets now. Then be sure to get a ride to the Museum of Science and Industry on board the CTA. Here's an update on the CTA's funding situation. And the news is good. The Illinois General Assembly has voted to give the CTA an additional $54.3 million for 2005. Grant money that will allow the CTA to operate without service cuts or fare increases.
It was a long struggle, but the General Assembly and with the leadership of Governor Blagojevich really stepped up, and they really understood that public transportation is important to the region, that the CTA is a vital part of the public transportation system in this region, and they wanted to keep it going. They wanted to keep it going for our riders, and we appreciate all their hard work and their support.
The additional funding, along with some additional cost savings that the CTA has identified, will allow the agency to close a $55 million funding gap for 2005. But the CTA considers this a short-term fix to a long-term problem, that being structural flaws in the way public transit is funded in the region.
We're going to be back in Springfield talking about the issues, talking about the fact that there needs to be a greater long-term investment in public transportation. We have a structural problem, and that problem still exists.
In the meantime, customers can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that their travels will stay on track, and that the CTA will continue to work hard to preserve the level of service they know and deserve in years to come.
The CTA has been upgrading its fleet with new, state-of-the-art buses. Not only is the ride more comfortable, but the reliability of service has improved as well. And when you look back on the history of public transit buses, it really demonstrates how far the bus fleet has come.
Reliable, clean, and comfortable bus service is something one might take for granted in today's modern age. But public transportation wasn't always so efficient. In fact, back in the day, horses were our only horsepower, and modern amenities were unheard of.
Little things that we take for granted, like heat, you did not have. For instance, the horse cars, you had to use like bales of hay or straw to keep your feet warm.
Phil Chaffee has been interested in all things transit since his early years, growing up as a young CTA customer.
I'm a lifelong Chicagoan, born and raised in the city. My parents did not drive, and we found CTA took us everywhere.
His enthusiasm continues to this day, and he spent years studying the evolution of the Chicago Transit Authority that began with horse-drawn cars.
There were horse cars that ran on State Street in 1859. These were followed by cable cars. Chicago, in fact, had the largest cable car system, not San Francisco.
Cable cars with vice-like grips that clamped onto moving underground cables were in service until the 1900s. when the more efficient and economical electric streetcar powered by overhead wires became the wave of the future. In 1930, the electric trolley bus, a hybrid between the cable car and the motor bus, began to take hold. This vehicle had rubber tires but operated on overhead electric power.
We had over 700 electric trolley buses running in Chicago. They were very fast accelerating and they were quite efficient.
The electric trolley era has been preserved thanks to the Illinois Railway Museum in Union, Illinois.
The visitors out at the Illinois Railway Museum that ride on these coaches, who are old enough to remember them, it really brings back some great memories.
Illinois Railway Museum curator Ray Pieschuk takes over this leg of our tour.
Well, the history of the trolley coach is actually somewhat fascinating. It bridged the gap between the streetcars and the motor buses. The heyday for the trolley coaches was really the 1940s and 1950s.
Trolley coach aficionado Jerry Saunders is behind the wheel of a trolley from the 1930s, one of the world's oldest trolleys that is still operational.
Have a good day now. It's a trolley coach that's all electric, 600-volt DC, and it ran on the northwest side of Chicago. It ran until approximately 1952.
That trolley was replaced with a newer electric model that became extremely popular thanks to its simple design and quick acceleration.
It was the single largest order of trolley coaches in North American history, 349 of them. This coach ran until 1973 to the demise of all trolley coaches in Chicago.
In the 1960s and 70s, traffic congestion was on the rise, technology was evolving, and gasoline-powered buses became the most economical, efficient mode of surface transportation. And that takes us up to the CTA's own historic collection.
These represent a snapshot of the equipment that we were using at the Chicago Transit Authority back in the 60s.
While most of the buses during this era were propane-powered, this prototype, with its new front-end style, was the first bus equipped with a diesel engine. This model, which traveled on the city's north side up until 1991, is the very first bus the CTA purchased from General Motors. And this slimmer vehicle is especially unique because of its narrow body style, specifically designed to go underneath the Lake Street L structure and fit between the girders. It was also in service until 1991.
These buses were basic, very simple construction, kind of like automobiles from the 60s. You know, a lot of metal and a lot of mass.
Clearly, many improvements have been made in the last 40 years, both for the operator and the customer, like air conditioning and heat, electronic fare cards, automated destination announcements that use GPS technology, and computerized signs to help customers navigate, and even computers.
Computer-controlled engines now give better emissions, better fuel economy. It's better for the environment, cost of operation, and makes a better running vehicle more reliable.
Upgrading its fleet is a top priority at the CTA. New purchases and midlife overhauls improve reliability for customers. Since 2000, more than 700 new air-conditioned, accessible buses have replaced older buses in the CTA's fleet of more than 2,000 buses. Today, all 150 CTA bus routes are wheelchair accessible. So what does the future hold for the CTA's bus system? A contract was recently approved for 265 new flyer buses, which are also designated to replace older buses. The 40-foot, low-floor, accessible, air-conditioned buses will help the CTA continue to provide reliable, comfortable service for customers. We've certainly come a long way from the relics of days gone by, but fans of transit enjoy preserving them for everyone to enjoy for many years to come.
There's a lot of people that remember them. It's remembrance of their childhood when they rode them. So there's a lot of interest in these old buses. Everybody enjoys them.
The Green Line is taking us north into the Loop, an area of the city known for its stunning architecture. For an interesting and unique way to view it, just ride the rails of the CTA on board the Loop tour train.
You are riding on Chicago's historic Loop.
For a perspective on Chicago unlike any other, ride the rails of the CTA's Loop tour train. This 40-minute trip around downtown's historic loop offers a unique vantage point for taking in the city's renowned architecture and history.
You'll learn a little bit about Chicago's architecture, how it changed over the years. They really get a chance to see up close and personal how the different buildings have changed over the 130 years that we've been building here.
Thanks to a partnership between the Chicago Office of Tourism, the Chicago Architecture Foundation, and the CTA, the Loop Tour Train runs 4 times every Saturday throughout the summer. And the best part? It's free. The adventure begins at the Chicago Cultural Center.
On Saturdays, starting at 10 a.m. at the Chicago Cultural Center at 77 East Randolph, visitors can come and pick up their tickets. So the tickets are available on the day of the tour. First come, first served. And then they'll get their ticket and they'll get directed over to the first stop for the train, which is at the Randolph and Wabash Elevated Train Station.
Volunteer docents like Ken Monroe from the Chicago Architecture Foundation provide interesting and educational commentary.
You'll notice a large center pane of glass and a double hung window on either side. Again, kind of a stylized Chicago window.
The tour circles the inner loop 3 times above Wabash, Van Buren, Wells, and Lake Streets. But you don't have to be a tourist to enjoy it. In fact, Chicagoans are encouraged to hop aboard.
For locals, I think that when you're familiar with something, you almost don't see it. So the Loop Tour Train is a great way for them to really zone in on different features and buildings that they probably just kind of take for granted because they're just kind of always there.
Chicago is known internationally for its architecture, which is why Chicagoans may find themselves sitting alongside visitors to our city, like this couple from Alexandria, Virginia.
We learned about the architecture, about the designers that made this city.
Also have to say we saw things that you can't see when you're walking.
When you're taking a walking tour, you're looking at either details at the very base level or looking all the way at the top. And usually just above the first floor, the real architectural details still exist in the building. So you get a chance to see the architecture and you get to see it up close.
The Loop Tour Train runs every Saturday at 11 a.m., 11:40 a.m., 12:20 p.m., and 1 o'clock p.m. through September 24th. For more information, call 312-744-2400 or log on to www.cityofchicago.org/exploring Chicago.
The price is right and the feeling is great. And it just gives you an insight depth to the city.
We're stepping off the Blue Line's O'Hare branch at Jefferson Park, one of the CTA's busiest stations where customers can connect to Metra, Pace, and a number of CTA bus lines. But if your travels take you through here, be sure to venture beyond the terminal and into the surrounding neighborhood of Jefferson Park, our destination.
Tucked away on Chicago's northwest side is a neighborhood known as a city within a city, a place anyone would be proud to call home. And if you're a visitor, you'll feel like you belong. Everyone is made to feel welcome here as you shop, dine, and explore the community of Jefferson Park. As longtime resident and Jefferson Park Chamber of Commerce President Jim Robertson will tell you, to know Jefferson Park is to love it.
So Jim, tell me what makes Jefferson Park such a great destination.
The main thing is the people. We have a great group of people that live here, and we have some of the best examples of historic bungalows that Chicago offers.
Those bungalows reflect only a part of this neighborhood's rich history, which began in the 1800s. Immigrants of Polish and German descent were among the early settlers here. By the 1950s, Jefferson Park's population soared as the Kennedy Expressway provided a direct link to downtown and the suburbs. And in the 1970s, it grew even more when the CTA constructed a major terminal here, the Jefferson Park Transit Center, a connecting point for the CTA, Metra, and Pace.
Major hub in the whole city of Chicago is the Jefferson Park Transit Center. Our location has trains and buses you can take anywhere in the city. or in the suburbs. And right now it's going through a renovation. The Chamber of Commerce purchased a statue that will be the centerpiece of the renovation project of Thomas Jefferson. So we're very much looking forward to that.
Why Thomas Jefferson?
We're named after Thomas Jefferson, of course.
Okay.
In addition to the new Thomas Jefferson Monument, the community has also recognized its namesake with a park, Thomas Jefferson Memorial Park.
This is a very community-oriented park. We offer a variety of classes, including preschool, play school, tap and ballet, gymnastics, yoga. We have a senior club, a mom, pops and tots, t-ball, soccer, swimming in the summer, day camp.
Stop by any time for some recreation, or every summer for the annual Jeff Fest, where you can shop local vendors, listen to local bands, and taste the local food. Another way to taste the local flavors is through Jefferson Park's annual Taste of Polonia, a celebration of the neighborhood's Polish influence. It's held every Labor Day weekend at the community's largest and perhaps most important gathering space, the Copernicus Cultural and Civic Center. Visitors to the Copernicus Center can also enjoy a variety of cultural activities year-round.
The center was founded here in Jefferson Park because of the concentration of Polish people. We've renovated the large theater that we're standing in now. It's a 2,000-seat theater. When the Symphony Orchestra from Warsaw was visiting, we sponsored the theater here as a rehearsal place.
All events and programs at the Copernicus Center are open to the public. Even though Jefferson Park has evolved into a diverse city neighborhood, it's hard to ignore the Polish and German influence. So prevalent, you can practically taste it.
We're here for 33 years. It's a family-owned business.
At the Krakus Sausage Deli, you'll find Polish sausage, liver sausage, smoked sausage, 52 varieties in all that taste like no others.
It's a family-known recipe, which we put in our product. You know, the pepper and salt is a normal thing, and garlic you would put in the sausage, but there's a few extra little things that give it more of a zing, a little different taste.
Krakus is among the most popular food establishments in Jefferson Park. And hotshots? Here's your chance to fill up on some pool hall fun at Chris's Billiards. It's famous for playing a role in the Paul Newman, Tom Cruise flick, The Color of Money. Rack up some fun on one of 48 tables at this 35-year-old neighborhood mainstay. From indoor pool to outdoor fun, from great places to shop and eat, there is so much to experience in the neighborhood of Jefferson Park, and the CTA can get you there. Here's how.
So to sum it all up, you would say, come to Jefferson Park because?
Because it's a city within a city. It's a neighborhood that still is a neighborhood, and it has a lot of great people that live here.
As we head into the heart, or rather the heat of summer, it's good to know that the CTA can get you to the many beaches along the lakefront, where there's fun, sun, and sand. All you need is a little basic training.
It's always the time of year Chicagoans eagerly anticipate, summer in the city. Time to break out the beach gear and indulge in hot sand, cool waves, and lots of outdoor fun.
My favorite thing to do down here is play volleyball. I play about 5 days a week with all of my friends, and we really enjoy it.
We have wonderful beach houses. We've got great activities in the North Avenue Beach House, the outdoor gym. We have bike rentals at many of our beaches, so there's always something to do. Our sand volleyball courts are always very popular, and they're easy to get to. Our beaches are very accessible.
The CTA makes it easy to get to every Chicago lakefront beach, all 31 of them.
The CTA is a quick, easy, efficient way to get down to the lakefront without having to worry about parking, without having to worry about having your car.
I did the CTA because it was really cost effective. If we were driving around, it would take hours in traffic. We came down here with like 12 people. can't fit that all in one car, so we all came down together and we all had fun.
For added customer convenience, all of the CTA's rail lines and bus routes that lead customers to the lakefront are clearly listed in the Chicago Park District's new guide.
It's essentially, an encyclopedia for the 26 miles of Chicago's lakefront. And this year it will be a 36-page full-color brochure that people can actually take with them not only to use during the summer, but throughout the year.
And there's something new to experience on Chicago's lakefront beginning this summer. Just a few steps south of the Adler Planetarium sits Northerly Island, a beautiful 91-acre respite of prairie grasses, beautiful pathways, and wildlife in a rather historic location.
This has been here since the years of Daniel Burnham, who has actually been a large part of the way a lot of our parks on the lakefront have been designed. This used to be, as everybody knows, an airport, and I think it was the mayor's vision to turn this into a park that was free and open for everybody in the city of Chicago.
Northerly Island is also where Chicago's second World's Fair was held in 1933 and 1934.
There is an unbelievable history to this park that I think a lot of people probably don't know, and so we invite people when they do come down to visit the island itself to definitely stop by the terminal building and take a look at the exhibit.
The former Meigs Terminal is now home to A Century of Progress, a photographic exhibition where history lovers can learn all about the famed fair. But nature lovers won't be able to get enough of the green grass, trees, and wildflowers, miles of it.
The pathways that we've put in here at Northerly Island are for everybody's use. What we have found is a lot of bikers come out here just to explore the island because they've never been able to do that before. And I think a lot of the birders enjoy Northerly Island because this is on the migratory bird path, and so it does get a lot of activity in the spring and the fall.
Bird watchers and fishermen are making their way to Northerly Island. It's the newest site for the Perch Derby, a contest offering some of the finest shore fishing in the city.
We are having the Derby out here again this year. We have a fishing guy at the Chicago Park District by the name of Bob Long, who does fantastic fishing events for kids and adults alike.
Northerly Island will also offer a new concert venue. The Lakefront Pavilion at Northerly Island will host family entertainment, concerts, and more. So come on out and enjoy the new Northerly Island and all of Chicago's celebrated beaches, and let the CTA get you there.
There are lots of reasons to head to the lakefront this summer, but one big one, the Chicago Outdoor Film Festival in Grant Park, our last stop.
Set against the breathtaking backdrop of Chicago's skyline and the lakefront, classic films are projected on a 50 by 34-foot screen with state-of-the-art sound at the Chicago Outdoor Film Festival in Grant Park. This summer marks the 6th year for the Film Fest, a showcase not only for screen gems, but the city itself. And, as in years past, record crowds are expected.
The film festival has definitely grown in popularity. There's no question about that. Our average attendance is about 30,000 people per film.
And this year's lineup is no exception. The films have been personally selected by critic Roger Ebert as part of a series of events celebrating him and his many accomplishments. Films include Citizen Kane, Annie Hall, My Darling Clementine, E.T., The Night of the Hunter, The Hustler, and Star Wars. It's a program that gets a big thumbs up.
I like that there's an eclectic mix, that it's not just the most recent blockbuster, that sometimes we get films, whether it's a Marx Brothers comedy or a Marilyn Monroe film, that are from 40 or 50 years ago, real classic films, and the prints are usually of the highest available quality. I love that it's a film lovers festival, but you can also just be somebody who loves the city, and you can have that movie on in the background.
Take the CTA to Grant Park this summer for Chicago's Outdoor Film Festival.
We'll tell you more about the Chicago Outdoor Film Festival next month as we begin another journey around Chicagoland on the CTA. I'm Dale Rivera. See you in August on Connections.
For more information about the CTA or to use the RTA's trip planner, visit our website at www.transitchicago.com. Or for customer service matters, call 1-888-YOUR-CTA. For travel information, call the RTA at 836-7000 from anywhere in the Chicago area.